Maggots just came flying all over out of him. We shaved and we shaved and we scrubbed him up and cleaned him up. And the look of relief on this dog's face just put me in awe of what we can actually do to help animals.
Welcome to Wild Development Studio. Join us as we venture into the breathtaking realm of wildlife arts and untamed adventures. With captivating stories from the field and ideas to dive into the visual arts, we'll ignite your passion for conservation. Get ready to develop something wild.
Welcome to Wild Developments. I am your guide, Lauren, and today we're talking to Dr. Joanne Goodman, owner and veterinarian at Evendale-Blue Ash Pet Hospital. She purchased the practice back in November 2017 and continues to update all aspects of the practice. Dr. Goodman graduated from Miami University in 1998 with a BS in zoology and is a proud 2003 graduate of the Ohio State University College of Veterinary Medicine. Following graduation, Dr. Goodman practiced in Louisville, Kentucky area at a 7-doctor practice where she received great mentorship to start her career. She moved to Cincinnati in 2005 following her wedding and practiced at King's Veterinary Hospital for over 11 years. In caring for your pets, Dr. Goodman will provide modern preventative care, medicine, and surgery services, including dental radiographs, laser surgery, therapeutic laser for pain management, ultrasound, and acupuncture. Dr. Goodman and her husband share their home with 2 dogs, fish, and fire-belly toads. Her interests include diving, hiking, kayaking, raising awareness for Crohn's and colitis through running half marathons, and spending time with her family. Well, Dr. Goodman, Joe, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks, Elsie. I'm really happy that you're having me.
I'm really happy that you're on. I'm excited to ask you all the burning questions I've always wanted to ask. But before we get into that, you're a veterinarian. Did you
Yep.
always know that you wanted to be a vet, or has
Oh,
that been a long journey?
I never wanted to be a vet. Never, ever, ever, ever. Like, few people are shocked when they ask me that question, like, "Oh, did you want to be a vet since you were a little girl?" Yeah, no, not at all. So I actually didn't know I wanted to be a vet until after I graduated from undergrad. I went to undergrad at Miami University and I was all about zoology. I was about ecology. I was about getting my degree in undergrad and then going on and getting my PhD in marine biology. And I was going to work with sea mammals and I was also going to own a horse ranch on the ocean too. I have no horses either. So, but if you would have asked me as a little girl, like for years and years and years, and I used to get laughed at, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would always respond, I want to be a dolphin trainer. You want to be what? Yeah, a dolphin trainer. The people at SeaWorld or the people that train them and play with them. And that is literally all I would tell people what I wanted to do. And then I volunteered at a humane society in the county that I grew up in. When I was in high school, I learned there that cats hate having baths. Had no idea. It was like gremlins after midnight, like climbing the wall. And then I actually went and observed our own vet, and then we switched vets after this, and he completely turned me off to the profession. My parents were just like, why don't you go, shadow him one day when it was a summer in high school? And so I did. And he thought I was some squeamish girl coming in and did this neuter and was like, do you want to hold this? And held the testicle up to me. And I was like, sure. And I took it from him because he was being a jerk. So I was like, this profession is male chauvinistic and no way. I was like, I'm getting out of here. My mom picks me up. I was like, nope, it's not what I want to do. Dolphin trainer. um, so I spent 2 summers out west because I really was ecology driven at the time. And I spent 2 summers out west. We spent half the summer in Colorado, north of Fort Collins, or east of Fort Collins in the plains. And we had to do research out there. And then we had to do our own project also. And then we spent the other half of the summer down in Las Cruces, New Mexico in the desert doing research on the topography of the land and how does the land topography affect the pocket gophers and the small mammals and affect the ranger or the farmers and their land. And so I did my own research project, and then we came back my senior year and I had to put my data together and I had to publish a paper. Yeah, that's the point when I decided second semester senior year that research articles, scientific articles, and the publishing process, it's an eye opener. I have a hard time believing a lot of scientific papers, which is why I'm slow to pull the trigger on any new, in my profession, any new medication or anything like that until it's been out for a while because you can tweak data. I'm not saying my data was tweaked, but going through the process is just all these hoops. And I did get it published with the correct data, because that just made it sound like I didn't, my research paper was a bunch of junk. I promise you, it was a lot of sweat and tears.
You lied about how many pocket gophers there were.
I did. um, yeah, I also lied about how many black widow spiders and rattlesnakes I had to dodge too.
Oh my gosh.
That was fun. We had to check. We lived in trailers and in Colorado, and we had to check our bedding and our shoes for black widows afterwards. And then when we were in New Mexico, we stayed at New Mexico State's campus, so it was a bit better. But still, waking up with the mountains in the background are it's just no other experience for a college kid. Um, so I graduated from undergrad and was like, yep, not spending the next 4 to 6 years doing research. Now what? And that's what my parents actually said to me. Um, and they said, well, you've always loved animals. Why don't you go work for a vet? There was a theme here with my parents. It's like they know me.
Gently guiding you in the right
Oh,
direction.
right?
Yeah.
I should give them more credit. So I came down and lived in Cincinnati with my brother, and I worked with a local veterinarian. He's retired since, and I still wasn't sold on the profession. And halfway through summer, I'll never forget this old English sheepdog that had horrible arthritis in its back end and had a really hard time getting up. It had been outside, the owners had been away, and the neighbor was taking care of it. And they brought him in, and he had this horrible smell from him. And the vet and I worked on him, and I was holding, and we started shaving. It was like a hot spot over his butt area. And all of a sudden, like old English sheepdogs have this long, long fur, and they take a lot of work with their fur. And the smell was horrible. It's a smell you'll never forget of flesh being eaten. And it was maggots.
Well,
Maggots just came flying all over out of him. We shaved and we shaved and we scrubbed him up and cleaned him up. And I was, popping maggots in the lobby, and everybody does the same reaction that you did when I'm like, yeah, maggots are what made me want to be a vet.
first guy was totally wrong. You're not squeamish at all. Clearly.
Right? Exactly. Come on, buddy. But the look of relief on this dog's face just put me in awe of what we can actually do to help animals. It literally just struck my heart. And I applied to vet school. My research background got me in right away, and I was lucky and fortunate to get in right away. And here I am. Like it's crazy. Here I am.
That is a beautiful origin story. And I have been lucky enough to watch part of your journey from when you first bought the Evendale-Blue Ash Pet Hospital, and you created such an amazing community. Like, we were part of the same dive crew, and there's so many fun trips and events that you had to sacrifice in order to stay focused on your goal. What kept you so motivated?
I still think it's just every day helping those animals. I treat them like they're my own, and I it's just that. It's my pure joy and love for these animals and helping them every day, which is why I can't stop learning. Lauren, I cannot stop learning. It's a problem. I mean, when I bought the practice, I was swamped because it didn't have a great reputation at the time. And there was only a handful really of clients, and they basically treated it, the loans did, or the banks did, as a practice that had a handful of clients, but was a new practice. And you're right, I had to, like, I volunteer dove at the zoo and at the aquarium. And it was like, I remember Denver loves me more, Lauren. Denver loves me more.
Oh, I will fight you for that.
Well, you're going down. This little dolphin trainer wannabe is taking you down.
I want to be a dolphin trainer too. Look where we both ended up.
Right? We're in Cincinnati. But I just absolutely love it, and I can't stop learning so that like right oh, that's what I was gonna say was squirrel. I do that a lot, ask my staff and my clients. Um, but I bought the practice and I had to focus on rebuilding the reputation and getting into the community, which is these are things I love anyway. But I actually signed up for a whole course on Eastern acupuncture because I always wanted to be acupuncture certified and was never given the chance to do it. And I was like, darn it, I'm doing it. And my road now has continued. Like, I just can't stop learning, Lauren. I just can't. I'm doing aromatherapy certification right now. And what essential oils can do for your pets is unreal, unreal. I use them now in the office when I have a stressed pet. It's crazy. But truly my path of getting here was definitely not a straight arrow, as you can tell, but yet my parents nudged me and pushed me. And I almost didn't go to vet school. Even when I was accepted, I had the dream opportunity. At the same time I applied to vet school, I applied to Epcot's Dolphin Research Center, and I got in, one of two people picked, and I had to pick a path. I was literally in the woods. It was the classic poem, and I chose the road or the path less taken, or I probably butchered that. I'm sure I did. Um, that's why I'm a scientist, not a poet. But I had to decide which one I was going to do, and vet school wouldn't let me delay taking this one class that I didn't have because I wasn't pre-vet. I had to take a micro 100 class, and they wouldn't let me delay it and told me how I should be grateful I got in when there's people on a wait list. And so I had to think, my dad talked to me, what's going to guarantee me a job when I'm done? Well, vet school's going to. So I told Disney I couldn't do it, and I still look back. It's one of those things where you have that moment in life where you're like, what would have happened if I would have taken that other path? Where would I be right now? I don't know. But it's the decision that was made. Things happen for a reason, and I'm here for a reason, and I found my love. Um, and then when I was in vet school, I was still bound and determined that I was going to do aquatic medicine and get into marine mammal rehab. And I our fourth year, you have to go out into the world and do a preceptorship. So you can do it in small animal and large animal, like whatever track that you're gonna go do your job with. Because when I was in school, back in my day, that's what I just sounded like. um, we did our preceptorships the last quarter of school, when we were at Ohio State, and I was one of four people accepted for that semester to go out to San Diego, and I worked with the Navy's marine mammals and their dolphins and their sea lions. And you want to talk about the little 5-year-old girl in me having a dream come true. After work, I would just go down to the dock and the pier, I mean, and I would just sit and watch the dolphins like swimming around, and I was in pure heaven. I mean, pure heaven. Then we worked with these young sea lions that they had to learn how to have a vet visit. And so we worked with positive reinforcement, and they were so cute and so funny. And I got to see a sleep study with a dolphin where, dolphins sleep with one half of their brain shut down and sleeping, and the other half is, keep keep one eye open. So the other half is able to function and swim. And then I was an overachiever. I only needed to do one preceptorship, but I got accepted to the National Aquarium also. I went and spent another month there and worked on the aquatics. I worked on a turtle. That's right.
Lucky.
His little shell had an infection. We fixed him. But they didn't have a position open, neither did the Navy. And I had an internship lined up with the New England Aquarium, and they lost their funding. And I actually put myself through undergrad and through vet school. So I have loans that I'm still going to pay until I'm 60, but we won't mention how many more years that is because we won't mention my age, even though I've been out for 20 years. um, so I again graduated from somewhere and didn't have a job. Seems to be a theme also.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So, because I wasn't looking for, like, I thought I was going to do this internship. So I wasn't looking at small animal practices. And so I started looking. I couldn't find anything I was really happy with in Cincinnati. And I interviewed at a place in Indianapolis and a place in Louisville, and they both offered the jobs. And again, I didn't know which one to pick. So I picked the one I got good vibes off of both, but I picked the one that I got the best vibe. And I think it was also a challenge because when my boss offered me the job, she said that, she was very hesitant to hire new grads again because she had a former new grad that she hired that didn't work out as well as she had hoped. And I took her place. And I think it was a challenge accepted because I'm a bit of a stubborn person also. And I'm gonna like show you that I'm gonna do everything. Yeah, that's why there's bags under my eyes. Um, so it was all meant to be. She was the best mentor in the entire world. I worked there for 2 years at a 7 doctor practice. And then my husband, he was my boyfriend for 10 years. He proposed and moved up here to Cincinnati. And I worked at a practice for 11 years. And I started looking years ago for a practice to buy. And because she had even told me, she's like, you have the qualities to be a practice owner. And I laughed in her face and I said, that's funny. I'm never going to be a practice owner. No way. No way. So again, here I am. Never want to be a vet, never want to be a practice owner. Here I am. Apparently I like to prove myself wrong too.
Yeah, never say never.
Yeah, right. And I knew what kind of culture I wanted to have. I knew what kind of medicine I wanted to do with the integrative medicine. And Lauren, things just happen for a reason. And I'm in the spot I'm supposed to be in.
I absolutely and 100% agree with you. And I don't think learning all the time is a problem at all because I do the same thing. But that's great because you're always going to be up on the latest and greatest and whatever's going on in your field. And, I've had dogs almost all my life, and we've gone through several veterinarians over the years. Fiona's got really bad anxiety. There's another vet that I won't name, but she actually was biting on the cage because she was so stressed out and broke her tooth.
Mm.
And my dogs have problems going to other vets. And I can honestly say for the first time, my dogs are excited to go to your practice. When I drop them off, literally every single staff person knows my dog's name and personality. They're like, oh, we've got George's, his cage is all lined up because he's my little strict dog jacket, apparently, because he likes to jump up and everything. And I have a Chihuahua who hates everybody in the world except for you guys. Like, she doesn't
Oh
like
my
anybody,
gosh.
but she loves you guys. And that is such a huge peace of mind because I travel a lot and I wouldn't be able to do that if I did not have such faith in you guys and what's going on there. What is your secret to creating an environment like that?
I honestly think the secret is literally just my love for the animals and the fact that I treat every single animal like it were my pet. Like if I have to make a decision about something, I think about, if this were my dog, what would I do? Like, what would I do if it were my girl here? What would I do? And then I also, from day one, I have always practiced where I get down on the floor and I play with the dogs. Or if it was a cat, I would, get down on the floor and play before we would do the exam because it's very hard to do an exam on a very small animal on the floor. But pet them, talk to them. I go into the room and I greet the dog first, and I have a classic line of, looking up at the owner and then introducing myself and to be like, "You're just Uber." Sorry. Which I hope I don't offend anybody by that. But so the important thing is I don't know why, but I've always been able to read pets or animals also. So I know if they're scared. I know if they're going to be a fear biter. You can just tell, and I know how to keep myself calm. If I keep myself calm because they feed off of us, then I can keep them calm. Now, it's not like rainbows every day. There's animals that, they still don't like to come see us. And there's things we can do to help to alleviate their stress, which one is the essential oils. And two is sometimes we have to use medication. But if we can decrease their stress over time, a lot of these animals, we can gain their trust. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And we do happy visits where they come in at no charge and they play with the staff. They walk around the hospital. They hear the noises to desensitize them. But I just think, honestly, it's in the staff I've hired, I've instilled that culture, that motto of, if this is your dog, how would you want your dog treated? And I think that it shows. And just by your story, and I remember you telling me about Fiona. I really do, about like how she broke her tooth and you were all hesitant about, going to a vet. And we talked when we were diving, and I'm so thankful that you gave me a chance. And I love it. It makes my heart so happy hearing what you're saying.
But it makes my heart so happy to have a vet I can rely on. Seriously. Because dogs are so important to us. I mean, our cat is too, but I mean, it's like the exorcist if we take him in the car at all.
I've got some oils you can try at home.
We're going to have to try those. We'll have to talk after.
Yeah, we will.
And but our dogs are so important to us because nobody loves us like our dogs do.
Nope.
I know I don't deserve my dogs because they're amazing. And as adults, we all have so many responsibilities. And sometimes even just having the reason of, oh, I need to get outside because being outside is important to us too. And having a dog to walk and giving us that excuse to get outside, I think is so important and provides so many health and, mental and physical benefits. What are some important things that pet owners can do and keep in mind when they are out walking their dogs?
So I have the same thoughts and feelings, and I grew up in nature. My love for nature came from fishing with my dad, who grew up in, both my parents grew up in Pennsylvania. We took our golden retriever everywhere with us. He went camping with us. He went in the car to Florida with us to see my grandma. And I can tell you, all my dogs, they go hiking with me. I love to kayak. They're on the boat with me. And one of the biggest things to remember when you're taking your pets outside is watch the weather. People don't realize that some dogs want to be outside and sniff, and they need to do that. They need to go for their walks. They need that mental stimulation. They need to sniff the air and sniff all the smells, because otherwise they become bored, and bored dogs are destructive. And a lot of times, a lot of destructive or behavioral problems can come from lack of exercise, which is why it's so important for them to get out into nature. Whether it's a walk in your neighborhood or on a trail, the bike trail, wherever. But you've got to make sure that, like in the summertime, you do not want to walk them here in Cincinnati in the summertime when it's 90 degrees or 80 degrees and humid, because they are actually going to get heat exhaustion. Some animals will literally play and not stop playing until they go into heat exhaustion. So it's important that if your dog's never been out on a walk before, on a hike before, and it's warm out, you can't do it during the middle of the day. You've got to do it in the later evening or early morning hours when it's cooler. You have to remember to take water for them. There are so many places you can get those collapsible water dog bowls, and they'll clip right onto a water bottle like you use for your own dog. There's dog water bottles that have like this shelf that opens up, or this thing that opens up, and then it's a bowl and they drink out of it. It is so important. Like, think of the things that you want on your hike, and then you got to make sure you do the same thing with them. But wintertime, you've got to watch for ice. You've got to watch for the salt on the sidewalks, because it's going to hurt their paws. You want to make sure that you can wipe their paws off before you get into the car to go back home, so that the salt is not on them from like the parking lot or whatever. It's like the little things you don't think about, like the parking lot can affect them. The parking lot during the summertime can burn their paw pads. So you can get little booties for them for both winter and like really hot summertime. They do sweat through their feet, so you don't want to like necessarily have them in their little booties the whole time. But if it's a hot surface, it'd be fine to do that. Some dogs, though, don't like things put on their feet, and they'll like look really funny and shake their paws. A lot of times they'll get over it, or if it's just for a short period of time, you always use that positive reinforcement and give them that treat to make them happy. But it's super important to watch that weather. Let them go into the shade and take a break, but don't just go, if they haven't done anything, don't just go take them for like a 5-mile hike. You've got to wean them into it, just like you are weaning yourself into an exercise program. And start first in your neighborhood with just sniffing around. Oh, and be careful also. It's super important to keep them on their leash, because you never know, even if your dog has never bolted before in your life, if they've not been in the woods before and they see a squirrel up close, or they see a raccoon, or, oh, God forbid, a skunk or a deer or whatever you're going to see out in the woods, they will dart and they'll bolt. So you want to make sure that you have a leash on them so you can keep control of them. It also helps too, because if you come to a narrow part of a trail, how many times have you come up, when you're hiking? I know this happens to me all the time, where you're hiking, it'll be a narrow spot, and it's always the spot with a curve that you run into someone and there's only a little bit of room. So if you don't have your dog on a leash, they're going to interact with that person. And what if they have a dog that doesn't like other dogs and they've got their dog on a leash? Like, it's not going to end well for anybody. Everyone's going to be stressed. So it decreases the stress. So you can actually enjoy nature and enjoy everything that's around you.
What about for flea and tick? Because I've been really lucky and I'm like, our dogs have never gotten anything, so I don't need to worry about treatment and stuff. And you guys are great. You're like, you guys need some flea and tick treatment. Can we just go ahead and do that for you? I'm like, fine. I don't even have to worry about it or think about it. How important is it really? I think I'm just kind of playing the odds and one
You
day.
are.
Yeah. So how bad is flea and ticks
They're
around?
bad.
Yeah.
They're really bad. Actually, especially the ticks right now. We in January, it did not get cold enough. We're seeing the dog tick. We always see the deer tick. And actually, the thing is you don't see the deer tick. That's the problem. You would never see the deer tick on your 3 puppers at all because they are the size of a poppy seed. So we diagnose Lyme disease. The deer tick is active if it's above freezing, and we're above freezing most winters. Even if it drops below for a few days, as soon as it goes above freezing, they're active again. We have diagnosed anaplasma, Ehrlichia, like Rocky Mountain spotted fever. We diagnose it a lot. We do get some false positive, but that's why we always retest. But I can't stress to the importance of the tick prevention. And I'll give an example of how you never knew that your pet had ticks on them. My previous dog that I lost a year ago, she had a real thick black coat. And we went to East Fork and we went hiking. And this was, I think, 2 years ago. And we were hiking back to the car, and I looked down and we were at the car and it was muddy out and it was raining. So we were wiping their paws off. And all of a sudden I saw a tick on her fur, and I was like, they give me the heebie-jeebies, and I shivered and was like screamed like a little girl. And there was my squeamish part. Like I did know I was squeamish, and I flicked it off of her. And then later that evening we got home and did whatever the rest of the afternoon. And then we went to bed, and our dogs sleep with us, and they, theoretically we should tell people not to have you sleep with them. But she had dead ticks start falling off of her that we never found. Yep. They were dead because it was the time frame when they would die, but we found, I think, about 5 ticks on our bedspread, dead. Thank God, dead. So her coat was exactly, and they'll lay like hundreds of eggs. And fleas, same thing. Fleas make them itch. A lot of times we can tell just by the pattern. Fleas are horrible. A lot of times more so, well, no, spring, summer, fall. And I haven't seen as many fleas this winter. I think if I'm remembering right, I could be wrong. It's above 50 or 60. I think it's 60 that fleas are active. But unfortunately, the deer tick is here. And it's so small that most of the time, and that's why it's so hard to diagnose in humans, because a lot of people don't know that they ever had the deer tick on them, because it'll be on their back and it's the size of a poppy seed, and it feeds, gets off, and yep, ta-da.
I guess I always assumed they were a little bit bigger. I have 2 very vivid memories from being a vet tech. And one of them was there was a dog that did not have the muscles to poop. So you'd have
Oh
to
yeah.
put on gloves and help that process along. So I remember that. And then the other thing I remember, I was taking the dog out for a walk. I was like, why is there a grape on this dog's back? And I went to pull it and I'm like, oh my God, it's a tick.
Yep. Little legs probably going. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So different species are bigger. The American dog tick is a lot bigger. I think that's in the brown dog tick. Those are the ones that are most common, where you think of that big engorged tick. Blah.
ugh. So and
Ugh.
then when you do the flea and tick prevention, does that kill them off when they
Yep.
bite? Okay.
They do have to bite, but it starts killing them. It depends on which product you use. I would just say an average of 6 to 8 hours, they start killing them. So, and that depending on which product you use depends on how long the product lasts, but in general, that lasts for 30 days, and and then the efficacy drops off. So you've really got to put it on your calendar, and you've really got to remember to give it. And it's hard to give when you're busy. It really is. I know that I forget sometimes. I mean, I'm human. So I just try to remember first of every month.
Oh, that's a good method to remember.
Yep.
Now, we talk all the time about how important it is for humans to be outside, and you were talking about it is important for our dogs to get outside and to sniff around. What recommendations do you have for the amount of time they should be outside?
It depends on the animal. It depends on the breed. I mean, there are breeds like there are the hunting breeds, and they can go and go and go and go, like short-haired pointers, and they have a shorter length fur. But if you've got a little one, you can't do that. You might have an extra backpack to put them in to carry them, like a baby Bjorn, a puppy Bjorn, which people do have those. So it honest to God depends on their breed because their breeds, they're what's what I'm looking for. They're meant for a purpose. Like the little dogs are, even though they might be like corgis are hunting dogs, you're going to get your chihuahua, and that chihuahua is not going to last outside very long, nor is a pug. Pugs can't breathe. The short faced noses, they don't do well in the heat at all. So really it's very odd for you to see a bulldog on a trail. It's odd for you to see like a Frenchie on a trail. But your other breeds and the mixed breeds, you need to wean them into it. Watch how they're doing and do short hikes, and then wean yourself up to longer hikes. And you can take them camping. And if you take them camping, you just have to make sure that you always pack a first aid kit. I forgot to say that earlier. I always have a tiny little pet first aid kit. I think I got mine on Etsy. I could have made my own at work, but I'm too lazy. But one gift I got for my staff this year was a first aid kit for all of their pets for their houses.
Oh,
So
nice.
always have that first aid kit, and make sure you keep their nails trimmed short, because you don't want the nails, if they're long, snagging on like bark or a limb or something, whatever. They can snag it on a rock. Be careful when you're down along streams. If they drink the water, they might get a little bit of diarrhea because they can pick up single-celled organisms like Giardia, just like we can. So think of what you're packing for yourself, and similarly pack for them. You've got to have plenty of water. If you're packing and hiking and spending the night, or I mean camping and hiking and spending the night, you want to make sure you remember their food. I know that sounds silly, but if you're in the process of like packing everything for you and getting your snacks and all that, it can be hard to remember to bring everything. For heat exhaustion, because it can occur, and heat stroke can occur. That again is, if your dog has never been backpacking before, don't just go take them backpacking, especially if it's hot out or if it's cold out, because it's the two extreme temperatures you want to watch for, and the humidity. Always have something to wipe their paws off with also. Just because if they get something sticky, sap or something like that, and you go back to your car, they might have leaves and stickers and all that. Oh, and I would take some kind of like flea comb with you, not for fleas, but you can get burrs. Burrs are really common for hiking dogs to get. And the flea comb, it has like really teeny tiny little comb things, whatever those are called. And you can get those burrs out really well.
Those are great tips. And that's what I wanted to ask. Baby wipes, would that be okay for
Yeah,
dogs?
baby wipes are great. And if you're gonna go kayaking or boating or whatever, life vest. Even though your dog may know how to swim, a life vest is super important, because you never know what that undertow is and what the current is depending on where you're at, even if it's just on a stream or a creek.
Those are all really great tips heading into the summer season when we're all going to be outside more. I didn't even get to ask you about cats yet, and we're almost out of time. We'll have to have you
Ah,
on and we'll talk all about cats.
oh, we could do that. Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Awesome.
I love talking cats.
Yes. Don't let my husband know.
It's our secret.
Yes.
But yeah, I'd love to do another one where we talk about cats. Yeah.
Awesome. So before we go, where can people find you?
I am at Evendale-Blue Ash Pet Hospital in Evendale. And you can find me there. You can also go onto our website at ebapethospital.com. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. Yeah, those are where you can find me.
And your guys' Facebook and Instagram is so much fun. I especially love
Oh.
when you guys put my animals in there. That was so funny.
We try so hard to remember to try to put everyone's animal on there, but we have to make sure that we've got everybody's consent. And it's hard. We want so bad to get everybody on there, and sometimes the pictures are in one spot and then they're in another spot, but we try really hard and we love doing it.
It's so fun scrolling and being like, wait a second, those 3 dogs look familiar. Oh, wait, they're my dogs.
That's why we also love to send that's the other thing too is, we love to send you pictures of your pets when they're at our
Yes.
boutique and spa so that you know that, "Hey, here they are, they're doing great," and or they're outside for a walk or whatever. So, we try to, again, treat them like they're our own kids, and if we were on vacation, we'd wanna know how they're doing.
Yeah, we always love that when we're out seeing their cute little faces. Well, before we go, what is one tip that you have for someone that would like to connect with nature?
Just do it. Life gets in the way. It really does. And sometimes you're so exhausted. That's my dog in the background.
Aw,
Sometimes you're so exhausted. You're like, I just need to sit down and chill. But I have to remind myself, just do it because every time you get out into nature, I love being outside. It's my favorite place in the world. I get rejuvenated by it. I love looking around and listening to the birds and the leaves and the it's just do it. It's gonna make your soul so much better. You're gonna be so happy and so will your fur baby.
it's great advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Goodman. And until next time, get outside and see what develops.
Thanks for joining Wild Development Studio. We hope this exploration into the world of wildlife arts and adventure has sparked a desire to get outside and connect with something wild. If you have an adventure that's awe-inspiring, don't hesitate to share. Click the link in the description to submit your story to have it featured on our show or be a guest. Until next time, keep connecting to the wild and see what develops. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in any such activities. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.